and no action is anticipated, and that tonight's agenda was amended to remove item B1 and add item C1. Any of the items approved for action by the council tonight will be placed on the February 18th, 2026 City Council meeting agenda or as otherwise determined. Tonight, Councilperson Michael Goodnow is absent. Finally, an ongoing reminder that questions or comments by the public may be submitted on any item at any time by email to city.council@bremertonwa.gov. And Zoom recordings of study sessions will also be available online within a few days following the meeting. So first up, I welcome Public Access Manager Colleen Nico here to present item A1.
Good evening.
Hello.
I haven't met you, Councilmember Tift.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
you.
Councilmember Camerata, nice to meet you as well. I'm here, the mayor is seeking confirmation for the reappointment of Vanessa Afcierto to the staff position on the Beach Advisory Committee.
He is here. He is here.
We missed you.
Does anybody have any questions?
I can remember when Vanessa first joined the advisory group, and she had such interest, and I'm delighted to see that that is continuing. So she's been on it now for a few years.
Since late 2022.
Yeah.
And each of those has been a one-year term. And I'm so thrilled that she's continuing on. The continuity of her participation is wonderful, and she's a great asset.
That's wonderful. Great. Good.
Does any other council person have comments? Rick?
I just wondered, maybe the resume was in the packet and I missed it. What's her background?
It was.
Oh, I'm
well,
sorry,
she-
then my
She's currently in HR, but she has been in several different departments here at the city. She's got business background,
Okay.
and she also in her private life does community theater, so she's very interested in performance and things like that. So that ties in nicely with the television piece. And oh, thank you.
Okay,
And,
all right. Very good read.
Are there any other comments from council members? Okay, how should we treat this item?
Consent.
Thank
I
you
was
very
a-
much.
Thank you, Colleen.
Home run.
Mm. Next up, we welcome Risk Manager Specialist Melissa Fulmer and City Attorney Kylie Finnell here to present item A2.
Hi there, good afternoon or good evening. I'm here to present the renewal of the excess workers' compensation insurance for 2026 in the amount of $158,312. This is an $8,000 increase from last year, and there's no changes to the policy. So it looks really good. And the reason it comes to council is because it's over the $25,000 approval for the city attorney. The city is self-insured, so we get workers' comp insurance, and we have a self-insured retention, and it's staying the same at $1 million for first responders and $500,000 for all others. So it looks pretty good.
Can you tell me why there's a difference
And-
in coverage?
Oh, just because of the cost of the claims for workers' compensation, claims for first responders due to what they do.
So if there's a claim higher than $1 million,
So we pay for the first $1 million of a workers' comp claim, and then our insurance, which is Safety National, will cover after we hit the 1 million.
okay,
And then it's 500,000 for all other employees.
okay. Jennifer?
Yeah, okay, so we paid for the first million. Do we do pooling any longer with the other
So-
jurisdictions?
Pooling, so we are with the WCIA for all of our other insurance except for
Okay,
workers' comp or self-insured.
okay, so that's not covered covered through that WCI.
No.
Okay, pooling, okay.
And the other, if we weren't self-insured, then we would be with like L&I and, pay through L&I.
Okay, and I feel like, insurance rates are going up everywhere. This is the trend, right?
Yeah, this is good. I mean, $8,000
Yeah,
increase,
that's not bad.
amazing.
All right. Does that mean that we have been risk assessed to be safer than other jurisdictions? Is there an actuary that actually made it like a reasonable rate?
It just shows it goes off of our loss runs over the years, but also I don't know the number, but I know that our worker hours went up this year. So it also is based off of our worker hours.
Oh,
So we have
okay.
more employees, so more worker hours, so that's even better because, we know why they increase. The increase is due to the worker hours.
Okay, all right. Thanks for letting me delve into
Yeah.
that. I'm always interested in that stuff. All right. Well,
Does anybody else have any questions? How should we treat this? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next presenter is gonna be via Zoom. Welcome Parks and Recreation Director Tim Barker here to present items A3 and A4. Hi, Tim.
Hi there. Sorry I'm not there with you. I'm getting over an illness and figured if I coughed, it'd be better if I was in my own area.
stay away.
We appreciate that.
Trying to keep y'all healthy. That's what traveling does to you, I guess. So I'm here to present to you a couple really cool, exciting things. Not that we, at times don't have exciting things in Parks and Rec, but this first item is for the purchase of playground equipment at Kitsap Lake Park. So we've talked off and on about this project, obviously, over the last couple years. And one exciting new addition that we're able to bring to this park that wasn't there before is a playground for that neighborhood and for the users of that park. So there's a lot of excitement behind this. Like I said, it's the first playground we've had at that site. And so we received a lot of response and participation from the public. We did some community surveying, had over 250 responses. We provided 11 different design options. So we submitted to 7 different playground manufacturing companies to provide us 2 separate options. We wanted a little bit of a nature, but we also wanted to take advantage of some height because of some of the views that they're going to have at the location of this playground on the upper tier of the park. So of that, we moved 11 different options forward for the public to provide responses to. So like I said, we did that through a SurveyMonkey survey we left it open for about a month and a half. We directly sent it to the families at Kitsap Lake Elementary School. So those kids that live in that neighborhood were able to take a look at it. And we also shared it with the Kitsap Lake Neighborhood Group, who has their own distribution list and that we communicate with regularly. And I'll attend one of their meetings about every 3 to 4 months to provide updates, especially on the park. So tried to get as much reach, especially within that neighboring community, to get feedback. And then following that surveying, we worked with the #1 design option, which we've been using landscape structures for a lot of our most recent projects. The far and away #1 was Burke, which is locally represented by Buell Recreation. And so it's a new product to us. So we did took some time to do a little bit more research. We are a little bit familiar with Burke. Brian, our operations manager within Parks, had built a couple Burke playgrounds when he was with the county. So we had some experience with them there. And then going through some design and color options, some modifications to be able to fit this project within our allowable budget that we had for the park project. And then we took it to our Parks and Rec Commission and the PFIP group on January 27th, and the commission unanimously approved us to move forward with this design. Let me pull this up for you and share it with you. I have three different angles of it to share with you. You see that?
Oh, Jinx.
That is so cool.
You guys see it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
At first, I thought that was a person with a giant baseball head. Now I see the hat on the shoulders.
Yeah, it's funny because there's another picture, another angle where I thought the purple balloon on the girl's head was actually someone's head, but it was the balloon at a weird angle. So it's kind of hard to explain. This angle that you're looking at is kind of from the entryway into the main part of the park. So the large portion of the playground is going to be closest to the lake. And as we know, in playgrounds, kids love views, not really more parents, but we wanted to take advantage of the views. And having that height right there, there's going to be some incredible, really cool views for kids to be able to see as they're entering that massive tunnel slide for this project. And then the ropes area is something that's been a new trend, and then we incorporated some rocks, so that then there's a little bit of a natural element. Originally in the back area, we had a different item that was designed in there, but what we heard, especially from the elementary school and from the neighborhood group, is they didn't want to lose out on having swings in the design. And so we put the swings back in there, so then that was there. And then here's another angle kind of from the
Oh, I see the balloon head.
Yeah.
yeah, so here's an angle looking kind of from the lake towards the roadway. And then here's an angle. We'll have a couple benches that'll be set up on this side. Beyond the rope structure, kind of in the middle, you'll see kind of an offshoot of the concrete there. We're going to have a couple picnic tables that will be placed out there that'll again have a nice little overlook, looking over that lake area. Let's see. Okay. So the total project's cost for this playground is going to be $192,211, which falls within our budget. And I think I've mentioned this previously, but just to kind of remind you, this was part of a phase 2 of the project, which was considered phase 2 because it wasn't part of the original funding, but because of the grant that we received from the Department of Commerce, the primary purchase as part of that grant process was to install a playground. And so with that grant we received in 2025, we'll be able to get this installed. So what we are asking is, one last thing is, this is being purchased through Sourcewell. So it's one of our purchasing cooperatives that we utilize. So they do go through the vetting and pre-bidding and qualification process for us, and then help us in the acquiring of kind of the best pricing that we can get out there. And so this would be through use of Sourcewell. And what we're asking for is for council to approve us to move forward with the purchase of the equipment, so then we can get this on order. What we'll plan to do again, like we did at Haddon Park, is to have a community build. And we would be doing that sometime in May and early June, or sometime between May and early June, again, with the goal, hopefully not to come up to the day school gets out for the summer, but to give us a little bit of a gap there to have it ready for the summer. It does take a couple months for the manufacturing process to take place and then for delivery.
Any questions from the council? Jennifer?
It's a little off topic, but I think maybe now I'd like to. First of all, this looks really cool. It looks like this looks very turtle-like. Like it's supposed to look. I don't know. I like the safety cage or the yeah. I was curious about, like, you talked about, but oh yeah. Were you saying no?
Oh,
Okay.
no, sorry.
It's okay. I was curious about, you talked about benches and tables and things like that. And I've been curious, and this might be a good time to ask, or maybe it's not coming off, if it's not. But does the Parks Department still do things like, like, I don't know, like legacy bricks or
Memorial
benches?
benches.
Park features?
No, sponsorship.
Sponsorship.
Oh, yeah.
Park, you couldn't get through without mentioning park like features. Like, okay, that's your one freebie. But I was just curious if there was any fundraising or sponsorship opportunities that might be, cost, I don't know, savers.
Yeah, no, that's a great,
Yeah.
great question. And we do have opportunities for sponsorship, especially for benches. And we're working on a program right now to um, so right now, if you came to us and you wanted to put a bench, a legacy bench in a park, it's pretty wide open as far as where things can go. I'll work with an individual or a group to find a location. But what our ultimate plan is that we're going to do some GIS mapping to put in and so let's say for Lions Park, for example, we'll map in where the
That's
benches are
parking.
currently. If there are openings that we feel we don't want benches on top of benches, but we
Right.
want to have reasonable spots. So if someone comes to us, hey, I want to put a bench in Lions Park, we'll say, oh, cool, here's where our benches are now, and here are the two locations that we have available. And that's assuming all the benches are already sponsored. There's opportunities that we want to take advantage of like this, where we're already planning to put a bench in, but we still want it to be available for somebody to sponsor it. So what you're probably asking for is we haven't been, it's part of our project costs now to put the bench in, but we're still able to collect revenue off it on the back end to help the long-term longevity of those benches and help us be able to add benches within our park program. So we're not promoting it as a sponsorship as part of the project, but it is available.
I would imagine you have a line out the door of people who want to sponsor the benches, right? Your waiting list. No, just kidding. I know.
It kind of comes in waves. Last
Does it?
year,
Okay.
we actually had about 8 benches last year, which is a little bit on the higher end, but we'll have years sometimes where there'll be 2 or 3. But we're
I
not
can't imagine.
marketing it. We're not necessarily marketing it right now too, until we have this plan in place and a structure. Then I want to be able to get that out there, so then we can promote it better.
Awesome. Okay. I was just curious about that. Thanks for your time and explaining it, and I hope you feel better soon.
Thanks.
Does anybody else have? Denise, please.
What role, your question just triggered me. What role don't we have a Parks foundation? What role, it's like a fundraising arm.
Yeah.
What role, what kind of relationship, do you have with the foundation as far as maybe not that opportunity, but others when new parks are going in or when new equipment's coming in or whatever? Maybe that's for another time. We could have a little more.
I can briefly answer that. So at the beginning of each year, I'll sit down with the foundation and talk to them about upcoming projects in the year, and then what their capacity could be to assist with those. And so I'm planning to have that meeting here soon with them. I've got a listing of about 7 different programs or projects that I want their input in and involvement on. But
And
depending on in some communities, the foundations do manage those bench programs, but it's more common that the cities do.
Okay. And then I want to commend you that the survey, I mean, to get that many responses, and the community engagement has just been excellent. So kudos.
Yeah,
That's
thank you.
great.
Yeah, we're trying to stay consistent and go off of the positivity we had from the pros plan and try to keep those people engaged.
Good. Thank you. Thanks, Tim.
Mhm.
Michael?
We did, of course, talk about this at Parks and Finance, but I really like the height of this because it doesn't look like what we see here. Park-like features, which I have,
Wait a minute.
are very, very different. And it's a lot of tall trees, so it's very cool that the kids will feel like they're talking in the trees. Kind of being in a tree house. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
it's
all
great.
right.
Anybody
Yes.
else? Rick? It's gonna be your neighborhood park now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Christine?
So Tim, we had previously talked about the fact of having some fully accessible features in this park. And while it's not on this particular sheet, that is something that we are taking into consideration. And we've even talked about possibly having a fully accessible swing. Is that still thoughts? Are we still
Yes,
running
yeah,
with
so
that?
there was, and I meant to point that out on the picture. There is another area that we can put in a circular accessible swing in that we're
Okay.
looking at doing. And we can use the structure of the current swings as well for that as an option.
Everybody likes to feel wind in their hair, so
Absolutely.
everybody.
I don't. Hate it.
Anna?
So that would be an additional, I just want to clarify from what you said, great question. Is that accessible swing in the budget? Will that be something that there needs to be
It
funded?
would need, yeah, it would need to be funded after the fact.
And how much is that? Just to
Oh,
give anybody listening the
you know,
opportunity.
nothing's, yeah, about $10,000 to $15,000.
Okay, okay.
Okay, hold on a second.
Okay.
Anna hasn't had a chance yet and Rick hasn't had a chance yet.
Great. So thank you, Tim. This looks like a beautiful, beautiful playground. In a world in which many natural areas have legal standing, I have to ask, does this park like features?
I've stood in the park and asked the question. I've asked the question if anybody objects and stood in the park for a while and I heard no response.
Oh, there you go. Thank you.
Was there a public notice issued? All right, sorry.
Rick, did you have any comments? You don't have to.
Yeah, so I'm
Okay,
thrilled.
I got a couple. Oh, wait.
Just a real quick clarifying question.
Sure.
One way that you I don't know, are you talking about 10 to 15,000 for a second swing feature? Because what a real quick and easy, dirty way to do it, easy, is to just make one of those swings, one of the adults accessible swing sets, which wouldn't be 10 or 15,000, and a regular kiddo could be in that too. I don't know.
It's like having a larger stall bathroom that is intended to be for everybody's access, but prioritized when everybody needs that larger one. So yes, the swing would be useful for everybody and then prioritized for those that need.
And that, well, sure, okay. Well, no, some of these kids, they might, I don't know. I think really when the designs are done for these, something I asked before when Elevata was around is, are these accessible for all sizes of folks, including there might be, adults that might be accessing these spaces too, developmentally, delayed
I
and
like a swing.
I like a swing too, y'all. So I believe that when these are designed, I mean, they're also designed for larger bodies as well as tiny bodies. Am I correct?
Yeah, so the swings that you see that are going to be installed, they're standard swings. And as we mentioned, they could be interchangeable for infant. The accessible type swing is really its own feature in itself.
Okay.
It wouldn't fit along with another swing in that current structure.
Okay. But there are other. Okay, thank you. I'm going to be done now. Thank you for that extra time.
Okay, anybody else?
I think that go take a look at Evergreen Park. You can see how those accessible swings work.
Yeah.
And when I've been down there with my grandchildren years ago, everybody uses them.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
They're not limited.
Yep.
They're available for all the kids. And so that's really a remarkable park, actually, that particular one at Evergreen Park.
Okay, I got a question.
Exciting.
When you're placing your benches, And somebody who used to have to sit and watch lots of little kids, is there a shade tree above the bench?
Yeah, so the area that the playground is going to be at is surrounded by trees, that whole area, and they're very mature trees. So we'll have a good amount of shade in that area.
Okay. And then, so the actual footprint of the surface is big enough so that in the future we could put a accessible swing, correct?
We could, yep.
Okay. And that surface is something that's, I know we've had to replace
That it's
surfaces in the
accessible.
park. Yeah, is it?
Yeah, it's an engineered wood fiber, so that's a fancy name for accessible bark dust or bark chips. And it's a safety fall type chip. So it's engineered because anytime you have a feature, I can't remember if it's over 4 or 5 feet, you have to have a soft surface to fall onto. But it is considered accessible for wheelchairs.
Okay, so a wheelchair could get through there.
Yeah, and there's a ramp that's required to be in there. So everything within the park it follows the state guidelines for an accessible park.
Okay, and so this, maybe I'm just looking at the pictures wrong. Are those swings actually high enough so adults could use them too, or just for an 8-year-old?
They would be high enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions? How should we treat this? Okay. All right. So next, Mr. Barker is going to talk to us about item 4A or A4.
Okay. So this next item is kind of a thinking out of the box a little bit and is a response to some comments we received within the pros plan because, why not approve it and then jump right into it, within the next month, moving forward with some project ideas. So this is for asking council for approval to apply for a grant for an outdoor fitness court through the National Fitness Campaign. So this is an organization that I've been familiar with for about 5 to 7 years or so. That's most of my time frame. I kind of feel like it's either 20 years or 5 to 7. I don't know. Not 6 to 7, but so yeah, thanks. I'm feeling good enough. I actually crack dumb jokes right now. So
Yeah.
Oh, brother.
So yeah, so what we're looking for is support to apply for a grant to partner with the National Fitness Campaign. And what this group is and what we're providing is, and I'll show some pictures here in a minute, you've seen a few of them, this is an outdoor fitness court that would be available for public use at no cost. The site location that we're looking at would be Evergreen Rotary Park, where we have the current sand volleyball court right now.
Yep.
That court is used from time to time, but our courts out at Pendergast are maintained a lot better. We have regular staff that are out at Pendergast just because of the size of the park. And the footprint of this court would be approximately the same size as the fitness court. And Evergreen Rotary Park is a great location for something like this because it's along the walking path, so the bridge to bridge loop. So a lot of people that would be out and utilizing the bridge loop that could stop and do their 7-minute workout at the outdoor fitness area, or they could take their kids down to the playground and have their kids at the playground. The sand volleyball court is basically separated from the playground by the basketball courts that are there. So it's very close proximity, but provides enough distance where adults or whoever could be at the fitness area and then be able to watch on others if they go down to the park with their children or grandchildren. Let me pull this up so then I can kind of run you through some things. I mean, can you see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So what the National Fitness Campaign does is they partner with local organizations within each state in the country, and they have a grant program where they provide about 100 grants a year. So there's typically 2 grants per state. Doing the math that they give out, and they partner on the design planning process, consulting with the local host organization, the installation process. So they're kind of your project manager as you move through the process. But even to be able to apply for a grant, you have to be able to qualify. And so one of the things that we do, or that they've done, and we've already discussed with them, is looking at what this is kind of an image to show you um, when they're looking at, the most accessible for transit, for pedestrians, for parking, to be able to access these courts. What are some of the hot spots within your community where some of these facilities would best fit? And so when we initially talked with the National Fitness Campaign, we came to them with 3 ideas of parks. One was Evergreen Rotary Park, one was Lions Park, and then the other was Pendergast as kind of our third option. I'd still like to look at Pendergast long term as we look at future development out there, but I don't really want to start putting new amenities that we haven't planned there without really master planning that entire site. So that wouldn't be a priority. And so in looking at and having them run their calculations on what the visibility and the use and the potential attraction that this site could be. Evergreen Rotary Park with its proximity to the water, all the ways that you can get to the park really ranked high on their end. And again, this is something that usually once we make this initial agreement to look into the granting process, they start doing that research, but we've kind of already done that ahead of time as we've started some communication with them. So like it shows here, that their 3 main things is they want your site to be visible, in a recognizable area, a place where a lot of activity happens, and then, like I mentioned earlier, connected. So, is there a bus route that's nearby? Is there accessible parking nearby? Is it along a pathway? A lot of back about the trend in outdoor fitness equipment, probably 20 years ago, was to put individual fitness pieces along a trail. So then as someone's utilizing the trail, then they are having the ability to step off and exercise for a few minutes and then continue on their path. So it was much more individualized at that time. And then about 2015 or so, and really since COVID, it's taken a big turn towards consolidating everything into one location, to build more of a sense of community and support around the fitness equipment area. And so that's really what this project kind of takes advantage of too, is everything's located in one spot. People can go out and work out together. They can use multiple pieces in one location. They could go out on a run or a walk afterwards, or just get back in their car once their workout's done, or get on the bus or head home. But they have more options that way when it's located in one spot. And the advantage, I think, too, is that we really don't have any fitness type equipment within our park system. And this would be something that is, we obviously have companies within the community that provide for memberships, but this is something that anybody could come down and utilize as well at no cost. So this screen kind of shows you what their initial design was when they first really started in this industry. It's also promoting their app. You can kind of see down on that right-hand corner. That's another thing that comes with this program, is it's a free app that's downloadable, and then you can track your workouts. Um, on the back panel, you can kind of see that there's some pictures there. So it gives you explanations of how to use the various equipment and and if you want to just go through a circuit, it'll walk you through there. The app also will help you track and you can put in, what type of exercise you want to do, and then it will configure based on the different pieces of equipment that we have available, what your workout would look like that day. So again, it's free to the community to download the app and utilize that. And like I mentioned, this is what their original project looked like. And this is kind of when I last spoke to them a couple years ago, that's the only thing they really offered. Now they offer a backside to the fitness area that they call a studio, which I think is a great concept because now this allows you to go down and allows and to participate in a group class, or if you want to go down and practice yoga, that location again that we've looked at Evergreen Park would just be a fabulous spot for something like this. It also, on the flip side for the department, gives us an opportunity as well if we wanted to contract with somebody to provide classes. So then there's a revenue opportunity for us within the park to be able to have regular classes down there. And so that's the one thing I really do like about the double-sided feature is if we wanted to do the studio portion as well, that is an option with their design. And you kind of saw on the back wall of the fitness area, this shows it a lot better. One thing that I really like about this project too is it gives you the ability to put artwork, so it adds some additional splash of color down there. So you're not just looking at fitness equipment. There's ability for us to partner with the local arts or our arts commission and do some artist renderings or drawings and have some local public art as an art piece down as part of the fitness equipment. This just kind of gives you an idea of some of the different ways that they partner with the communities. The top left tells you that they do provide as part of the program. If we wanted to go the local artist route, they'll provide $5,000 towards that. So we could do kind of what we've done with our other public art pieces is we do a call for artists, give them the parameters, and then they would submit, and then we would have some sort of selection process. And then whoever's design was selected would receive a $5,000 payment for providing that. Then there's custom art options that the company provides. I'd much rather stay local artists just because anytime that we can incorporate something from the community, I just think it just builds a greater sense of community. But they do have standard custom art options, or just if you didn't want to go with any sort of art, the fitness court art on the bottom right is just kind of their standard. If you don't want to worry about any sort of artwork, you just want to be able to have your logo and a simple wall, that's what they recommend there. So one other piece that they provide as an additional option is shade structure, which is great. And I think they mostly promote it for cooling, but it's also something that could be utilized in the winter to keep some rain off, so then people could continue when it's a little bit warmer to continue to go out to the fitness area and do their exercising, but still have some shade to be able to keep them dry. So that's an additional option as well. So the grant funding, what I've talked with them about was they're looking at offering us a $40,000 grant potentially. Again, we still have to go through that process to see how we would rank with others that are planning to apply, whether it would be for 26 or for 27 for our next fiscal year. I've left that open to them as an option that, I'm not dying to get the project done this year. We could, though, if the money was available and we could find some local cash match But that's the big thing is 40,000 would come from this grant opportunity. And then we would need to do some local fundraising to provide that match. And so that would either be from sponsors, donors, naming rights, or from our Parks Capital account would be our local options. And again, this is something that we could fundraise for over a couple of years, or try to turn around and do some quicker fundraising if we felt that there was interest there to get something done sooner. So as far as the process and next steps are concerned, we've kind of already done step one. So we've met with them and talked about various site options. I wanted to get a little bit more into it to make sure that this was right for us before I brought it to you. I didn't want to wait until we got through, I didn't want to wait to go through these steps. I wanted to try to get some initial discussions going again, to make sure it was worth our time. So we've done the site workshop, the healthy site score review. We've done Evergreen Rotary Park ranked really high within the community as far as they were concerned. This also helps with the grant opportunity that it would rank high on their end. The feasibility and alignment with local priorities. So that again is kind of a reference back to the pros plan. That was the main reason why I reached out to them, was knowing that there has been a need and desire for some additional features within our park system that could be used for fitness, for just our, outside of a general playground for youth or a basketball court, that there's something else that we can provide for the public to utilize. And then after the next steps we haven't moved forward to would be getting more into the funding conversation, the grant program, and then what type of grants are available for Washington in the upcoming fiscal years for them. And then what we're really looking at right now is getting council support to move forward with this process to enter into that grant qualification process, which, as noted here, is non-binding. So there's nothing holding us to it. What we would be asking for right now would be for council to support us moving forward and looking into the grants. And then obviously, if a grant was awarded, that would still go back to council for approval and acceptance of that at a later date.
Excellent. All right.
Okay, sorry, I threw a lot at you. One thing I
So-
didn't know is, and it maybe mentioned it in there, depending on the features, we would be looking at a total project cost of about 200 to 275,000, based on kind of the features that we would like to see. That's
So this was discussed in
Yeah, we
finance and
talked about
parks.
this at Park. And it's, I think it's the coolest thing. So it's a lot, these innovative things like pump tracks and things like that. And I really like the addition of the studio. I think that's a
Mhm.
pretty good, affordable thing. One question I didn't think to ask was, is that studio court, or the court, I guess, on both sides, do you know if it's like designed, it rains here. Is it designed to like,
Is it a permeable surface?
yeah, I guess whether it's permeable or if it's like
It's a concrete slab.
I think it's stuff we use in kitchens, behind the bars and stuff, the mats that have, places for some of the water to go.
It's a concrete slab.
Is it concrete?
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
so
a
the base, the base is a concrete slab, but I would want to make sure that if you kind of seen that there was that material on top, that's permeable, and that there's some sort of drainage system that would be built into that. Because we wouldn't want to have continued use, because both sides have it. We wouldn't want to have continued use with standing water. Absolutely.
Yeah. And are you interested in the cover structure? I wonder if that's really more designed for shade and less for wind and rain.
So my thought on it is that a shade structure could always be brought in after the fact. So kind of see how it goes. I mean, I'm sure it helps with the wear and tear from the sun, and the weather on the equipment, but the equipment's pretty durable. You can see it's pretty basic stuff. It would be, I would look at potentially coming in with an aftermarket shade structure. I think would save us some money.
Yeah. And do you know, have any of these been installed in Washington or in the region?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, there's probably about, I think there's four within kind of the greater Puget Sound area. There's one down at Sprinkler Recreation Center down in Spanaway, that I want to go down and look at because they have a couple, they recently have done a lot of, within the last couple of years, they've done multi-million-dollar upgrades to Sprinkler Recreation Center. And so I'd like to go see that. And they do have one at that site. And so that would be a good location to go check it out.
Yeah. And I know we had talked that, you know, obviously with this custom kind of wrap on the backside, sort of, you could also possibly use that for, you know, some way to recognize a sponsor or a donor or something like that. But, you know,
Absolutely.
Jennifer mentioned like bricks earlier. I thought it'd almost be kind of cool if people gave a donation and you had an artist work everybody's name into like an art wrap so that they could also spend time like looking for it. So instead of just having it be like Taco Bell or something.
Taco Bell, fitness court.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I think the committee obviously generally thought this was a great idea. So it's a very cool piece.
So who else is on that committee? Christy and Rick?
Yeah.
Do either of you have questions first?
Christie's area.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, you too.
One of you go.
I thought it was, okay, sorry. I thought it was low risk. Okay, we're applying for a grant.
Yeah.
Why just go for it. It seems like a great idea. The location that's a heavily used park.
Mhm.
At the 911 memorial there, you've got the accessible playground, you know, access to the water. So I thought it was a pretty unique and clever thing to do, and low risk right now, just applying for the grant, other than the staff time to prepare the grant.
Mhm.
Go.
Christy?
Thumbs up.
Yeah, I agree. It's an excellent feature if we can get it. And right now, the only thing being asked of us is can we explore the option? And so I appreciate Tim finding innovative stuff like this and finding areas that we have something that we could improve. And so the way I see it is, you know, if we do this, then starts the hustle. We got to find the money.
Yeah.
So that'll be a lot of fun.
Anybody else? Denise?
I think it's great, and I'm familiar with concepts like this in other states that have better weather than we do. But that outdoor type of activity, I like that it doesn't come with a lot of operating expenses, right? You don't need staffing and you need some maintenance and all that. I want to be careful that, you know, the public understands what we're talking about is he's just applying for a grant to determine the feasibility of this, and that any funds in this $200,000 to $250,000 range would be raised specifically for park types of funding, parks and recreation type of funding, that this wouldn't be in competition with housing or other priorities. That it's, you know, this is really focused going after this type of funding. I think it'd be a wonderful enhancement to Evergreen.
Jennifer?
I went on to the Pierce County. I found it. I didn't find any links to the fitness court, but if I look at the splash pad, then I can see it off to the side. I think you should bring a splash pad anyway. We kind of have one, don't we? All right, just kidding. This is a really great, yeah. This is a really great idea. I'm super stoked just being part of the market community. People are always like doing yoga in the park, like once a month, people are doing yoga in the park. I'm part of a group that does the B2B every week on Wednesdays, which I can never be part of because I'm here. I have another job. And they totally cross right through Evergreen Park. And so I know we have like a huge fitness community. in our area that would use it. I I know you said that it's pretty heavy duty materials, but I do see wear and tear happening, rust, things like that. And I'm sure you probably researched like what maintenance and like what is a 10-year, what does it look like 10 to 15 years from now? For instance, how long has the fitness court been around in Spanaway? That would be
So
interesting.
that's brand new.
Okay,
The
it looks red.
original, yeah, the original fitness court is actually right off of the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. And so that would be a good test to find
Okay.
out how that one's weathered. But yeah, that's on my list of questions as well, is I do like the simplicity of the equipment. I've worked with outdoor fitness equipment before that is pretty technical, and there's a lot of moving parts. This is pretty simple and straightforward. So I would think maintenance would be a lot lower than what some of those other types of equipment would be.
What would insurance look like for a fitness court?
Mm.
I mean, I guess it's kind of like slippery boat ramps too. I mean, like people are kind of, I just want
Yeah.
to make sure that we have some kind of coverage or
Yeah,
exemptions.
I can keep Melissa in the loop on that.
I can't
Yeah.
say how it's gonna impact
Sure.
our schedule, but
It's like a playground. Yeah, I mean, it's like a playground. It would be the
Sure.
same. Yeah.
most of our insurance is actually driven by worker hours.
Okay, as we just learned in an earlier item.
It's not just workers' comp, even our liability.
Okay, thank you. That's all. I'm already looking, trying to find it in San Francisco. Wish me luck.
Okay, I do have an
Jane?
Yes,
Oh, I'm sorry.
can Anna go first and then we'll go for second rounds?
Great.
Go ahead, Anna.
Thanks. So because I spent hours with the pros plan, it is true that there was feedback that showed a desire for more fitness related amenities, but it's very, very specific. In the open-ended question 4, like what would make you visit more often? The most often cited things were more, better trails, outdoor concerts, cleaner, better maintenance was huge. And then something that's nothing you can do anything about, reduction in homelessness. So this is what people wanted when they were just asked open-ended. Question 24 lists a bunch of things, like saying, which of these would interest you? Select all that apply. The exercise/yoga classes got 41% response, which is the top response in that question. But art programs got 38%, aquatic got 37%, guided tours got 27%. So I guess my point here is that I think this is a great looking thing, but it's not something that there was a huge rush for and you did a really, really, really thorough survey on that pros plan. So I have a couple of questions after that, but did you want to respond to that one?
Was that a question?
Well, it's you're
No, it is.
citing
no.
the desire for fitness related amenities. But I guess I'm saying that
Yeah.
seems like really it's not even on any of the open-ended questions. Like, nobody mentioned it until Parks gave them a list of would you like this, this, or this.
Yeah,
Oh, no,
we
I think I can believe the director when he's completed the pros plan and from his view, this was a popular item. I don't think we're making none of this money could be spent on the other things that were prioritized. This is funding that would be spent really focused on this type of project.
we did, yeah, we did
Yes,
see
Jeff?
it in some of the narratives as well. So it was in kind of the write-in responses as well. But again, it's not like this is going to be our only focus either. We're still going to keep, obviously the dog park is important. That's been noted in the last 3 pros plans. And so we're working on that. We're just waiting to hear back on that related to potential funding with the Department of Commerce for this year for that project. But yeah, we're definitely looking at all of those pieces. We did, the trips and tours. We heavily blanketed the senior center to get their input on things. So obviously that's where a lot of those comments came from. And it doesn't surprise me that some of those responses came back so positively for more of those. And we'd like to be able to expand those opportunities as well. But yeah, this is just one piece of the pie that we're looking
So,
at. And
can I-
sod is an opportunity to repurpose a space that was already programmed for something that just isn't working.
Okay.
Right
I
now.
think it's real pretty, and I have like total applause for your desire to use local artists. I thought it's really interesting that those like extra fitness pieces along trails are no longer fashionable.
Yeah,
Um,
nobody cares about
and-
those anymore.
and apparently not. They've gone out
Yeah.
of style. And then my final question is, what other purposes could this money be put to?
So the 40,000 or the 40,000 specific for this project.
Okay.
They're only grant funds for the fitness courts.
It's like a coupon.
Yeah.
So
Okay. That's it. Thank you very much.
I'd like to add to that comment. It's like, I think the number one thing that the community said they wanted was a roller skating rink. And we don't have money or a place to put a roller skating rink, so it's kind of like you just look at the list of things, and when grants become available, you grab them if possible. But, I may be thinking of that incorrectly, but is that kind of how you are operating,
Yeah.
Tim?
Yeah, and not just because money's out there, we want to make sure it's something that's going to work for us as well.
Right.
But yeah, looking for opportunities that we think would be positive additions to the community, quality of life here.
Okay. Does anybody else? Rick?
Yes, if we approve this, we will need to make it clear that this is, because we will get comment that the city has enough money to pay for this, but not
Right.
for
Mhm.
a homeless shelter. Or several people talked to me about more pickleball courts.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Yes.
So
More
I take
pickleball.
back my enthusiasm from earlier and couch it with a marketing campaign that certainly makes sure that the public knows that this is money that is available and can't be used for something else, because we're going to do a lot of explaining.
Well, the money isn't, I mean, it might be available. It's
But
applying for a grant. Yeah.
There's a lot of explaining, and when you're explaining, you're losing. So no matter what we say, it'll be hard to justify it and to make sure that the public's aware of where the money came from. I think it's a great idea, but like I said, many more people have talked to me about pickleball courts, believe it or not, than
I
Do
believe
have a
it.
lot.
A lot of people in my district just want a park.
Oh, gosh.
Or park-like features.
So anyway, I understand.
I
still believe that it's, it's something that would be valuable to the community, but we're gonna be having to do some explaining.
Well, I really appreciate that comment, but the partners will have a shelter up by the end of this year anyway, right, according to our contract. So we won't have to worry about that. And since he's not chomping at the bit to do it this year, the timing will be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, right? That's the
So
plan.
does anybody else have comments on this grant application?
No.
So how should we treat this?
Consent.
Consent.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you very much, Tim. I hope you feel better.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Drink tea.
Okay.
Will do.
Next up is Managing Engineer Bill Davis, here to present item A5, utility relocation agreements for site B and C with Hewitt for Washdot Fish Passage Project.
Good
Welcome.
evening, members of the City Council. Thank you. I wanted to hand these out. This is an amendment to the agenda bill, which may be even revised a little bit further to give specific some proposal elements. Yes. Thanks.
And then this will be posted tomorrow on the, and updated?
Yes.
Yes. Great, thank you.
Okay, so I'm here to talk about agreements with Hewitt for the WashDOT fish passage project. The WashDOT is in the process of, they've been doing this for the past decade and a half, since about 2013. There was a federal injunction that required to get like 90% of these projects done by 2030. So several of those projects were identified in Kitsap County. These projects are essentially getting rid of undersized culverts and putting in bridges to improve the stream. WashDOT was selected, Hewitt was selected by WashDOT to design and construct these improvements, some of the improvements in Kitsap County. And two of the sites that were identified, sites B and C, will require relocation of city water and sewer utilities. So site B is located at the intersection of San Christopherson Road and SR3, which are kind of heading out of town towards Belfair. And there's a culvert there that impedes. It's an unnamed tributary to Gorst Creek, and it's going to require relocation of a couple of sewer mains and a couple of water mains and a sewer main.
Is this the traffic circle?
It is.
Okay.
I think the traffic circle is located slightly out of there.
Oh,
It's under the roundabout.
this is under the roundabout site B. Okay, that's what I thought.
And then site C is located on the south side of it, Sinclair Inlet on SR16 as you're leaving Gorse and heading towards Port Orchard, across from the former mattress ranch. There's a culvert there at Cavalot Creek, and it's going to require relocation of water and sewer mains. One of those is an 18-inch water transmission main, and then a 10-inch sewer force main. So the contract with Hewitt was awarded by WashDOT in fall of 2023. We were contacted by some design consultants in fall of 2024 to provide as-built drawings, GIS information. And there was a period of about a year where it was just silent from Hewitt or WashDOT. And in November, we were contacted by Hewitt saying we'd like to schedule these utility coordination meetings. And they sent us a copy of the plans that they had designed for this design build project. So we got those plans and looked at site B and site C and realized that there's some utility relocation that has to be done. So we scheduled a meeting every other week. We meet with WashDOT and Hewitt to talk about utility relocation. And as part of that, we are executing an agreement with Hewitt. These utility relocation agreements, one for each site. And those agreements are included in the packet, which explain the terms. Right now, we have an idea. We asked them for design costs. We have an idea of the design costs. We don't know the construction costs at this point and what the impact those are going to be. And the reason why we have to do this is because there's a franchise agreement with WashDOT and we have to relocate these utilities. And we talked about it internally. Should we try to do this ourselves? And that would be a bad idea.
Yeah.
We're going to be out there controlling the traffic, constructing a culvert. Let's let them design and build it and incorporate it into their work. So that's sort of the gist of the agreements and what we're going to be doing. And the work we will also do is supply an inspector for the project. So I wanted to talk about the changes to the motion because one thing I did not include when I submitted it was the discussion of the budget, because there is no budget for this project right now. It came at us really quick. It's coming at us really quick. The construction for site C is supposed to happen this fall. And then for site B is supposed to happen sometime next year. So the communication was not continuous and could have been better. So we're asking for a project budget in 2026 of $350,000 for a design. And further, that design would come out of the water and wastewater fund. We're looking at about $173,000 from the water fund and $142,000 from the wastewater fund. And that's going to pay for the Hewitt work as well as our design costs. So that will be reflected in this amendment that further breakdown into the water and the wastewater fund for the budget. So, thank you.
You walked us through this in Public Works as well. I know it's complicated but I certainly came away with assurance that this is the right way. We want to do it this way. This is our choice. We want to do it this way. And it's unfortunate that we can't plan because they don't really allow us that planning time. And we're also fortunate that the utility funds, are healthy and can cover something like this. So I appreciate the diligence of the department on coming up with a solution that works for us, for the city in this larger project.
Yeah, and thank you for, I'm sorry, had you done?
Yeah, okay.
And also, I really appreciate the fact that you guys will not have to do traffic control. Really happy about that. This makes sense, and thank you for dealing with it when it was thrown at you. So they were quiet for a full year. There you go. That's it. Thank you.
And just clarification, this is something we are required to be providing the budget for, even though this is a state mandated change, correct? So am I right in?
The feds even.
We have a franchise agreement that requires us to relocate our utilities when we have construction and our utilities are underway. So
Okay.
yeah, we have an agreement that requires us to do the utilities. But if we have to do it, we have to do it. How we do it, I guess.
Thank you. Rick?
Who's going to do traffic? Who's going to do traffic control if we don't have to do it? Or is it not required?
Hewitt will do it.
Hewitt will do
They're
it.
They'll
gonna,
do everything.
yeah, they're design build. They're taking care of all of it.
This gets folded into their contract, so the work will be, we'll end up with an estimate that we'll have to, execute a contract on. But it will be part of their construction contract that they have with the state, so it'll all be one thing.
Yeah, that's kind of an unknown right now with that construction fee.
Michael, Christie, either of you have questions?
Consent.
I have questions. Okay, so I'm looking at your construction inspection and acceptance, and I'm probably reading it incorrectly because it says salvage, all materials removed from the utilities facilities shall become the property of the utility and disposed of by the utility. But that's only if we were actually doing the work, correct? All we have to do is give them money and have an inspector there.
Yes.
That's the plan.
We have a little more to do than that. We've got operation support to drain mains, turn off water mains. There's more than that.
Okay,
Yeah, for the most part,
but we're not gonna know what those costs are until after we get their design from them.
right, we get a design, we'll get a design estimate, a construction estimate during the design. We'll have a clear picture of what the scope of the work is.
Okay.
So that will happen. And the agreement, we kind of went around and around a little bit because that's the agreement is almost has a different intention, but in talking to, it's a little confusing. Like if you get hung up in the weeds of all the check boxes and everything around there, it's going to get changed when we go to the construction. When the next agreement comes through, a lot of those check boxes are going to change.
Yes.
It's going to be their responsibility, but they were really inky about doing it right now for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
But once this is signed and they get the check, then things will get removed.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Well,
Yeah.
so the way that this will happen is we'll
Page 50.
we'll get a next phase agreement, and then they'll start working on design. We'll pay them their invoices, and there's also like force account in here for management reserve, so they have a little extra in case there's changes. So there's a little bit of wiggle room there. And then once we have the design and the estimate, and we are confident with what the costs are, then we'll be back here to do the same thing again. Construction one at a time, or maybe two together. I don't know, but.
And are we pretty confident in the as-bills that we provided them? We're pretty I mean, for ones that big. Yeah.
That to ensure we know where things are.
Okay,
Just often know where things are.
okay. That's great. Anybody else have any questions?
I have a quick clarification. I have never noticed, but it might have been in here before. I like the fact that there's city staff costs included in this. Is that something that we typically do? I really like it, so it's always
Yeah, when
indicated
there's a
there.
budget,
Yeah.
it includes staff time.
Okay.
Overall project cost.
I agree. It's great to have it spelled out.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
really appreciate it.
Okay, any other questions? How should we treat this? Vince, thank you. I'm gonna go take a rest. You guys want to take like a 10-minute
Yes.
break? All right. Okay. Why don't we come back at 6:25?
All right.
Yeah. Stop there.
I'll make that bigger.
Mayor, did you go to the parade?
I did.
Christie made the trip.
Oh, that's awesome.
Why Christy's sitting over here very quiet and tired because she doesn't own a bakery. She's not accustomed to waking up in the morning.
What time did you, which fair did you get?
Oh, they didn't. It's better.
Benny had heard some horror stories from 2014.
Mhm.
And so in order to keep, because we went with the whole family, to keep everybody happy and festive, he thought it was best to drive over and take the light rail. And the light rail at like 10, 11 o'clock at night sent something out that said, our parking lots are probably going to be full by 6. So you're going to need to be out here. So he then changed my alarm to 2:30 in the morning, and we hit the road at 3:30 in the morning, and we're literally the only people in Seattle. And we got to cruise around all by ourselves outside the stadium.
Oh my gosh. You front row seat then.
We actually had tickets in the stadium anyway, which was really nice, and it was a super fun way to do the parade. But yeah, we had absolutely no need to be there that
Yeah,
late.
it was surprising. We were prepared for worse.
Yep, we were hearing from our friends that were like, we'll just chance it because we don't have our kids with us. And they're like, no, we came over on the 2 whatever ferry. And you're like, great. I was like a sardine in a light rail, like, we can do this. So, but we do have some really fun pictures of us. Like, we were the only people in Pioneer Square. And we were the only people outside the stadium and the only people standing in the middle of 4th because it shut down. And we got there before the police did.
I
made it. It was so early.
Yeah.
What time are you there? 5 in the morning?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got the light rail. Oh, so we went to the light rail in Federal Way because that new one was open as of December. And we get out there and they needed to bus us to Angle Lake because somebody stole copper wire and the train, no electricity. So they were busing everybody and we're like, well, we have our car, we'll just drive. And so we drove to Angle Lake instead. But
So did you say you went over?
No,
No.
I thought it'd be the same. If you do it, it'd have to be at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Get up and, after 2014 and all of that.
no, they had it. It was really efficient.
Uh,
I know. So it was the best being proven wrong that we absolutely love.
yeah, the extra ferry helped. I mean, obviously it's the fast ferry. And, yeah.
Yep. So we'll have the stories of like, we had a great day, but piling the kids in the car at 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
They'll remember that forever.
there's
Yeah.
always a dark side of those family photos.
Oh my God.
You know?
The dark side of the family. I should show you them sleeping on the train. They were too cute. That's the time you'll be on the train.
My daughter.
Oh, here we go. At 5:11. Everybody's happy, right? Everybody's great by 5:25.
Russell Wilson.
He's trying.
Oh,
so tired. Bags under the. Look,
It's his now.
80 years old.
Yep, so then we were all alone and Benny's got all the
Yeah.
pictures from Pioneer Square, which was beautiful, all lit up still. It was It was lovely. Yeah, but yeah, the ceremony was fun. That was a fun way to do the parade.
Yeah. I mean, like.
One arrest.
Wow.
It's just for the entire day in Seattle, ferry and all of that. It was amazing. Oh, you.
What?
Is there more on this side? It's still.
Hey guys, the mute button on the
Yeah.
iPad. On the iPad.
Where's the iPad? Oh. I don't see an iPad. Oh,
Is it the mute button?
We are still, no, recording, but we are unmuted now.
Okay.
Oh, just kidding. Let me start it again. Resume recording. All right, now you have to repeat it.
Hello, I'm calling back to order the February 11th City Council study session. Next up is a continued discussion on public comment and public recognition. I did send everybody a copy of the ACLU fact sheet on Washington State open public meeting. So, and I think this would be a good one for us to put on the city council webpage too. Kylie, do you want to start the discussion?
Sure. We've been having these discussions, but we also have new members because this is a discussion that started last year.
Mhm.
And so I do want to go do a brief history lesson, first of all. I've been with the city for 10 years, and when I came here, we had a prayer and a pledge at the beginning of the council meeting, and we had public recognition at the end of the council meeting. And over the last 10 years, things have changed. The council, and it's a normal part of your role as council head, tweaks your rules and your order of business and where things are. Mayor's comment, mayor's report used to be at the beginning, now it's at the end. Public recognition used to be at the end, now it's at the beginning. Except that now we don't have it at all. So just to let you know that there's a lot of focus on the events in the last couple of months, but really to settle into the summer meetings are set up is a process that has been going on as long as I've been around, and I'm sure it was going on before I got here. So I see this as a continuation of that process, and it evolves based on who's on council and what works best for them and the needs at the time. And so
And we're not alone doing this.
absolutely
Like,
not.
municipalities all over the place are kind of following the same path.
Sure. There's I've mentioned this before, and municipal research services and MRSC is a great resource for all kinds of information. And they have questions that get posed by municipalities. They have little articles that will sort of give you a sense of what's happening in the state and what people are, what challenges folks are facing. And there've been a lot of articles over the last year or two about public comment. And in fact, this month I saw one, February 2026, someone had written in a question about if our city only accepts public comment, do they need to be read aloud? Spoiler alert, they don't. But it was interesting that that was a question that MRSC was getting, and that another city out there, I don't, was making that consideration. And so it's just a normal part of the work that councils do, and a lot of people change their procedures at meetings, and this is a part of that process. So the ACLU article I thought was really great. It came out in 2022. The Washington State Legislature changed the state law at that time, where we cities had to take public comment either in writing or in a written form, or in writing or orally. And the ACLU put out that guidance after that change so that people would understand their take on those things. And so it really is great for kind of explaining it in a Q&A fashion that I felt like is easy to read. And so I think it's great if the council wants to make that available so people can see that information for themselves. So we can go through the slide deck. This is a slide deck that John and Ann prepared to kind of go along with this discussion. It's not meant to be like a white paper or a legal opinion. This is really supposed to guide the discussion. And so let's just get started. So public comment and Washington state law. So next slide. This is state law that just indicates that the council can determine its own rules. Like I said, this is a process that has always been happening while I've been here. I recall us having a secular invocation.
What? When did this happen?
That was whenever Councilman Chamberlain was not a council member yet. But so there have been changes over the years, and that's certainly within the council's purview to do. Next slide. Obviously, our Open Public Meetings Act requires that our meetings be in person and or open to the public, and have a lot of requirements about notices. You guys have all had training on the Open Public Meetings Act. It's one piece of the law that we consider when we're looking at comments and what's required. So this is one of the questions that has come up is, can we just not allow comments on Zoom, right? And so one of the issues is, though, that this provision of state law states that if we allow in-person comments at the meeting, then we must allow them remotely if it's feasible. So you might hear, and I've heard there's some other jurisdictions that have said, we're not allowing remote comment, and they say it's not feasible. I don't think that the city could say it's not feasible. We were doing it before. We have the capability, and so maybe a smaller jurisdiction. I don't know, but if it's feasible, you need to provide that opportunity for remote comment if you're going to allow it for the meeting. Next slide. This provision actually was also new. It applies a little bit differently than you might think. And I don't know that it applies to our notices of public comment, except for like when there's a specific requirement for like the comment period must be open for 14 days. You need to tell people which 14 days those are. So just another requirement that we comply with. And so we saw in our meeting last week that there was a public hearing, and that was something that we allowed public comment orally on. And as we went over previously, we've had public comment on we've had oral comments on public recognition, which is the open mic. We've had oral comments on agenda items, consent, each agenda item is in public hearings. That's when we got that tally with that John did on how many minutes were people being allotted for public comment. And it, it was about 10, yeah. And so that is a combination of comment periods throughout the meeting. And as we stated at that time, we were going to maintain public comment orally on public hearing items because it's generally mandated. So option one, and this is the ones that we looked at before, is that there be written comment only. And this is noted on the agenda time of like when we will begin accepting comment, and then it'll, there's benefits, and we've all considered these. There's other ones, there's detriments as well. I think that the council's had some really great discussions on this. But the key takeaway, I think, is, and it's outlined in that ACLU article as well, is that a public recognition where there's an open mic, unrestricted period of time where anything can be commented on is not a legal requirement. We can restrict the comment periods to agenda items. That's a content neutral restriction, and it helps the comments stay focused to what the business is being conducted that night. There's not a legal requirement under the Open Public Meetings Act that there be oral comments on our consent agenda or on any of the business agenda items. And so kind of comes from two different places, but so that's where we are with right now with option one. Option two is remove public recognition. And remember, public recognition is the any comment that's kind of the open period, but keep comment on agenda items. That could be verbal comment on consent, general business, and like we've talked about with public hearing. Or it could be you could do consent agenda, but not general business, or not on consent and on general business. You can also change the amount of time. 3 minutes is discretionary. Some cities could go, lower. And so again, if we're allowing it on every item, some cities just have one period where you have to choose, like you have to use your amount of time to speak to anything that's on your agenda. And so we've always allowed people for each one, but that's something that the council can tweak as well. And then
I have a question on that. So this requires, if we allow somebody to speak about, if they have a question about something on the agenda, that also means that we have to allow people to zoom in with questions, correct?
Right.
So the other now there was one thing back there where it said either written or recorded comments. What would recorded comments be?
I think that you could distribute a like a voicemail.
And a
Okay.
video. We've talked about videos, so there could be a video that's shared.
Right, and especially if it was, like that was the kind of voicemail was kind of what I think we were thinking of whenever we put that in there.
And that would just be distributed to council the way we normally
Distribute.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we have on the right side of that slide just other alternatives to public engagement, and obviously there's more. I mean, there's town halls, there's whatever you guys can come up with. And this is the reverse Mockler. Sorry, this would be keep public recognition, but put it back toward the end of the meeting. For those of you who are aware, it was Councilmember Mockler that advocated for moving it to the front of the meeting
Before I was a council.
before she was the. But so some cities, I think it was Bellingham, is that right? And Bellingham had moved theirs to the end, and they had also been changing theirs around. They went through a period where they had removed it completely as well. So that's another option. And like I said, we can mix and match some of these as well. And the next slide, I don't know that there is one. Yeah. Okay. So the way procedurally that this can work is you can come up with something tonight. You can review that article. There's actually some interesting things in it as well. Another resource to take a look at, just because there's been some questions about other issues, is the City of Seattle's rules and procedure. Oh my goodness, they have dealt, I think, with everything under the sun over there. And it is comprehensive, is what I would say. It has
This is their rules.
That's just on like where ours is like, I think, a 9 to 12 page document. Theirs is like 50 something pages. It's comprehensive, but it also kind of, you can tell they've dealt with every single situation that you can imagine. And so they have a policy that is available. And that was something, I mean, all of that's published on the MRSC website. So you can actually look at different cities' rules and see how they're handling it. And you'll notice a lot of them have been changing. So there's whatever the council wants to do. Happy to make it happen and put it into a document for consideration. At this point, though, a lot of the authority to run the meeting rests with our council president under the council.
So does everybody want to review the ACLU article and look at MSRC, and then at our next study session, come back with your suggestion of how you would like public recognition handled? And I would like that everybody gives their opinion. We do that. Rick, how do you feel about studying up and then coming up with your opinion on how you would like it handled.
I'm happy to do that, yes.
Okay.
There,
There's a lot of information out there to absorb.
Yeah.
Anna?
So I think that we received an outpouring of written comments about, for example, the hybrid shelter. And more comments, I think, coming by email than we would have been able to, we'd have been here till like past midnight if that had all been
Correct.
spoken. And I think everybody here read every single one of those emails. And they were interesting and they were nuanced and they were, because people were writing them, they were impressed. And then we did a thing that I was really happy about. One of these options talks about the back and forth between council and the public. And the letter that you authored, went out to went out to everybody who had commented. Is that correct? On January 16th?
No, it didn't. It did not go out to everybody, but
On the website.
it's in the packet. So anybody who reads the packet would read it.
And I believe, is it not published on our website?
The letter that went out, it's published in the packet.
But it's not published on our council page.
Okay, so
No, they have to look, our packet's on our webpage, so they would have to
I just went to special
follow.
link. Okay.
because so many members of the public don't know that, I think it'd be useful to respond to all the people who commented. And even just like giving them a link, go look at the packet, it's agenda item X. Here's the link to it. In the same way that, like, I recently wrote a letter to all my electeds at state and federal levels. And a couple of them wrote back, and clearly it was a form letter because they're like getting a lot of comments on this same topic. But I think that would help with the back and forth between the public and the council, letting them know that we've read it and we're responding to it.
Well,
Maybe-
we do send a letter that is somewhat tailored to their letter saying, yes, we read this and thank you. And this is an interesting point that we had not seen before. Like I wasn't aware how disruptive a neighborhood food pantry could be if it was in the wrong location and not monitored. And I wouldn't have known that without reading these letters. So I think having that was already sent to people, that they know we're looking at it. I think that maybe putting it on our council webpage might be something that would be workable, but that's a lot of emails that we're asking staff to send out again.
I think it's easier said than done. You would have to go to every one of those emails individually.
Yeah, you can't do a mass.
Shoot it out to those people. It doesn't exist in a list.
Yeah, I know it's a lot of staff time. It's just, if even in our tailored replies, we could say, well, look, here's our website, look on it for responses. Perhaps just like a
Or like-
one-liner.
Like
We
if
have-
it,
Limited functionality right now on what we post on the website,
Okay.
so the
Perhaps in the future.
the packet is the best place, but we can definitely. We do respond, and then we put everyone's email in the packet as well, so people know that in fact it was read by the council, so.
And they can read other people's
we
comments
do
too.
acknowledge
Yeah.
the feedback.
Thank you.
Kylie?
Thanks.
We could also in that reply maybe add that this, like, attendance at the meeting, if to watch the council, it can be by
Usually we do, yeah.
Zoom, and then also that like the minutes will be available on our website at this location afterwards, so they can see, what did they do with my comment? So, that would, we usually
Yeah,
get
if we
them.
know what meeting it's for, we'll usually.
Yeah.
Denise?
I think it's also a good opportunity, once we come to some decision as a new council around this, for our council president to once again, might have some of the same information. It's a fresh letter or memo or whatever. And it's the message from the council president at the top of our page again. But let's wait until after, because there might be some nuances that we haven't decided on. And then we can entertain those kind of
They're not all for
thoughts.
you.
Are you,
I'm serious. I was supposed to pass them out to everybody.
Jane, okay, we're gonna stop because you made the comment. I'm getting one so that I can put it back, a Spanish version and the English version, since you made time to call me out in the middle of the meeting.
Yeah, that back and forth though has to stop. I feel sometimes here that our behavior amongst each other is not, what I certainly want to engage in public.
So Rick, did you have something you wanted to say?
I wanted to agree with, not having been here during some of the December previous, I do believe that I did read all of the comments. And they were very, very helpful in giving me a perspective of the sentiment of the people in the city, especially those near the site and in those near the former site. I read all the comments today. I mean, we received some comments late in the day today. I read them. So part of our duty as members is to read their comments, and frankly, they were much more valuable to me than had some of the stress that comes with some of the, that I've seen in some of the verbal comments watching on YouTube. Okay. Seeing those, because I did watch the meetings. So I was somewhat aware of how that went, but the process that we've got right now seems to be working pretty well as far as getting input on controversial issues that we're facing. So
I think we have some high flyers that we have been getting comments from. And what I appreciate about the letters is their receipts are there, and that gives us the opportunity, or legal team or whomever, to say, well, this isn't factual because X, Y, Z, which I think is the point of having this copy of the ACLU. So thank you for providing that for us. The ACLU, rights for regarding public comment. There's certainly just a couple, high flyers, but also I guess, I do miss that engagement that we have. I do miss it. The productive engagement, and like having been in activism myself, I can appreciate, like wanting to call attention to things, to being a little bit of a disruptor. I've been there. I think that this is a different kind of situation. I'm looking forward to the day that we can feel safe having public comment again. But this is, I think, most disturbing is annoying sometimes are the signs, but the most disturbing are when we get the Zoom bombs. I can put up with some of the other stuff, whatever. But when we get the people that are calling in with obscenities, and that happened, early on in my term. And I appreciate that we have a workaround for that right now, because it doesn't seem like that's a pattern that's stopped. It's something that just recently happened to us this year. And I don't want the youth in our chambers to have to deal with that. That's important to me.
There's also people watching who have sent in emails saying, that they understand, because there is nothing that we can, if we're allowing people to talk in the chambers, we have to take in those phone calls too. Denise?
One thing I'd like to ask about, and I know my sensitivity to this might be greater than some, but I remember I was very uncomfortable watching the mayor having to do his report with Mr. Camacho, behind him. And I was uncomfortable because I could imagine how I would feel. I would not be okay with that. as a small woman, I am not okay with a large man standing behind me doing I don't know what while I'm trying to conduct business at, at the podium. Um, is there any way that we can, enforce distance rules? I want them there. I don't even mind the signs. Um, I think that I don't think it's professional, and I don't think it makes people feel safe to have people standing so closely behind them, waving signs.
I think the city of Seattle's rules and procedures address, I think, that concern maybe, and it's talks about lining up behind the person, and it very well could be also a safety issue in keeping the aisles clear in a public space like that. It could also be a distraction issue for the person that's trying to make a comment at the podium, and not having people line up. I'm pretty sure that's in there. I'm not sure quite 100%, but I'm pretty sure it's kind of toward the end. They have they want people to wait in their seat and then approach the podium and not line up. And we've had nights where people have lined up down the middle.
Yeah.
And then if it's a contentious issue, then the reactions from the crowd might be very close in proximity to someone who has a very different viewpoint from them, which we hope it's fine. But with some of the things that have been said, it can also be a security issue because we don't have security in our room, and so I think that they address that, and maybe it's something that we could look at. Is what's the safest way? What's the safest place for someone to give their comment from, and also to keep the focus on the person that's giving the comment.
Well,
I think I said something that upset you. Did I? What?
Well, okay. No, you didn't say anything that upset me. I'm just thinking about a protester's rights, because I'm just thinking about, I mean, this is not a specific example that relates to us, but this is just what we've learned through the protests against immigration enforcement officers, right? That people do have a right to stay a certain distance from them, to hold signs, to protest, to be distracting and annoying, call
But
them
a certain
names.
distance, which I believe is 5 or 6 feet.
And so, I just don't want to lose sight of the public's right to protest, because that's such an important foundation. I know that it's annoying, but also there's the right. We might be on the other side of that one day, right?
Michael,
And
But
sorry, are you done?
it's okay.
I was just gonna build on that. So like when we do
Here you
the
go.
Pride
Here's my
Festival,
copy. Mhm.
we have a designated protest area
Yeah.
because we rent the whole area, the fairgrounds, and we put them out on the street. So if anybody comes in, the sheriff knows what the plan is, and they tell people they have to move to the designated spot. I don't see why we couldn't even just say if you're gonna stand, you need to stand behind all the chairs. Maybe we even take out a row of chairs, I don't know. But if you're gonna stand, you stand behind. And then you can't hold up anything to block anyone's view. That seems like a reasonable sort of, because obviously if somebody's standing behind the speaker, they're holding something up, they're blocking people's view of the screen and the business.
Thank you.
That's a good point.
Well, one thing that I remember, it was, I think when we were having a lot of folks come in to talk about immigration. And it was almost like we had, the divisions on each side of the room, and people were, getting very upset, and they were, calling each other names across the aisle, and we had people lined up, and frankly, I wouldn't have wanted to be in that audience. So I think we do kind of need to prepare for those situations, and that doesn't stop people from sending us letters, or because most of the people now who are in the audience are listening, and they're listening because they want to know what we're doing and what's going on.
I think the biggest thing too is whatever rules we do, we have to apply them
To everybody.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. Everything.
I can't come in with a come to the 4-H club meeting.
Yeah.
And and then we're like, oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then somebody else has a sign that says,
I hate 4-H.
Yeah.
And so The city of Seattle rules have a lot of, that's why I was saying that some of these issues, I think it would be good if, I didn't want to go, they're 50 pages. I don't want to go over them all with you in detail. I think that would be big, yeah. Everyone can read those, on their own and take from it what they want. But I think if you do take a look at them, you're going to say, oh, I can see why they have that. Oh, I can see why they have that. And so it's happy to distribute those so people can look at them because it seems like they've kind of thought of everything.
Well, now that you said that, there's something new that's gonna
I
come up
know.
and they're
Well,
gonna
that's another
go
thing is that
highly
technology
fennel.
aspect.
Why'd you say that out loud?
I think technology is driving a lot of this.
Mhm.
If you are unaware, there's even outside of public meetings, but there are folks that have YouTube channels, and I mean, there's some of them are, that they go to public meetings and they do funny things, and they
Chat goes deeper.
anyway.
That's
So,
funny.
yeah, and it's a thing. And it can be, there's people who do it, it's more like a comedy routine, and there's people who do it more like an agitation type, getting a reaction out of people. But that's not something that councils back in the day used to deal with, right? That's new. And so,
So does everybody want to just review the information and then at our next study session, we can see if we can come to a consensus of,
Highlight the material.
right, I think it is something like.
Michael?
First thing I was going to suggest a general comment about when you started your presentation, the slide, the RCW basically says about maintenance of order. And that's
Yes.
really what we're talking about. We're talking about like not losing kind of order in the room because it feels icky. It feels sometimes unsafe.
Mhm.
It's sometimes hurtful or
Yeah.
hurtful to other people we care about. That was one thing. Are you feeling that? Are you feeling the need to make a decision, or what? Well, I guess the decision could be to continue to hold the pause. So,
Right.
Okay.
It could be that, but I want to hear what everybody else feels, if they want to continue the pause on public
So
recognition
that's
and,
an immediate decision, not necessarily.
right. So one thing I want to be really sure though is that, and this is mostly for staff, that the agenda not be changed unless it's an emergency. So that people have enough time before our meetings to write in comments. And I think we have to have a deadline of like Tuesday before the meeting at noon for those comments to be made.
Just in a point of clarification too, is this doesn't really apply to our study session, right? We've
Right.
never allowed public comment in our study sessions. And so it's really the things that come out of the study session that are going on to the meeting next week
Mhm.
really need to be said. So people that can, one, watch the study session and hear the discussion and the presentations, and then also have that opportunity for written comment. It's not as critical on the study session agenda because we've never taken public comment. It's great if we get it and we can consider it, and we've always.
It's before we take action.
It's before we take action, and so I'm just making that clarification. I think we had a call for public comment to inform some of the discussion that took place on the 28th study session. That was a special circumstance. That was, President Rebelowski's letter, and it was to get comments for that study session. But generally speaking, it's going to be what we set as the agenda for next week's meeting and in this meeting right here.
Right. So I have a question. Last week at the public hearing, we took oral arguments. Is that because it wasn't on the agenda in time for people to be written?
No. It was actually a public hearing.
Yes.
So whenever we talk about the three different opportunities for public comment, it was consent, or we had four originally: consent, public recognition, general business, and then any public hearings. And we have a public hearing, according to John's research, about every other meeting on average. And those are requirements under state law. They might have a notice period. A lot of it's land use or budget. And those are still going to be oral public comment is going to be acceptable because we think it's required.
Okay,
Yes, I have one question.
sure.
Yes, obviously there were some emails about this that that's on Alice's restaurant with the photo and the arrows on the back.
Oh, yeah.
Arrows on the back of each one, indicate
All right,
what
right.
each one was.
Awesome. Okay, so I'll put you on pause as well. But you reviewed those and like what we're looking at still stands. Like,
Oh, yeah. So,
Yeah.
and, well, and
And it's
it
kind of
does
like
kind of
that.
go to, remember the discussion we had about publishing the comment or publishing the PowerPoints and people taking things out of context?
Yeah.
It seems like maybe some of that, like I said, the PowerPoint is meant to go along with the discussion. It's not a white paper or a legal decision, but we looked at having this handy ACLU article available, and then Jane and I were talking about it. I think it covers all of the points that we've heard people have in the public comments, and so hopefully that will be helpful to provide some clarity.
just kind of wanted that said.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah, we read them.
Yes,
Denise?
well, I know, but I just
Yeah.
wanted to I wanted to hear our legal advice on other people's interpretations of what they were looking at.
One thing that I've been wondering is when there is comment with on an agenda item or whatever, when it gets off and is no longer germane to the agenda item, how do we cut that dialogue off? Can we turn the mic off at that point?
Sure.
If the president
And-
determines that it's not germane.
Sure, there is an ability to do that, and again, I hate to sound like a broken record. Seattle actually has a very interesting they have an elevator process for that, and it might be good to have that written down as guidance for the chair. But it's tricky, and if you look at some of the MRSC articles, some of the Zoom bombers that we've had will start on an item, and then off they go.
We heard it too, went through that this
Yeah.
last time.
And so
It happened with.
it happens a couple of times a year where we're not alone in dealing with that, and it's not always easy for the chair to tell if the comments germane or not, and it's also not easy to then to apply that germane rule evenly, because someone's always going to say that you're doing it wrong, right? And so it can be difficult to, how this person got to be not germane for 3 seconds, and this person got to be not germane for 5, and before they were cut off, and that kind of thing. And so it can be difficult.
So I have a follow-up question with that. One of the things that you had talked about, and I think it was option 2, but don't hold me to that, was the fact that we bring back any sort of oral comments to that. We could do it in different ways. We were doing it by section, or we could just do it as an overarching. If we chose to do something like that, where a member of the public got however many minutes, seconds, whatever it is, to have a comment, but they could comment on anything on the agenda, would that cut down some of the germane? Because sometimes there's 2 things that kind of touch, or they want to talk about 2 things. Would that help us with because it's either like on the agenda totally and something having to do with city business, or way outside of
Sure.
what we've experienced when when it's like, that's not
I
germane.
have a 2 comment, but I think it could go either way. So one, the idea with the person would need to hit every issue that they need. So maybe they would stay on topic because they would have a lot of ground to cover. So maybe it would all
It is a
cover.
lot.
However, one thing that's nice for the chair, I think, is whenever the comments have to be related to this one item, it might be a little bit easier to zero in on whether or not, because they're going to be listening. Well, is this related to that consent item that's up here, or is this related to that? And so it might be harder to tell if it's germane or not. And then there's also just the whole thing. I think we're just going to have, from what I can tell and talking to other attorneys and looking at the articles that are happening on MRSC, it's very difficult if someone wants to talk about, for them to that turn, on any item at any opportunity to speak. So, I could see it going both ways. I don't know, but you can certainly do that. You can
Yeah, I
have a public comment period at the beginning, and it could be about anything that's on the agenda. And that would be a content neutral, you know.
So you mean anything on both the consent and general business?
Sure. The other drawback is that for the stuff that's on general business, there's a staff presentation, and they wouldn't have that benefit of that at that point. And so sometimes that might answer a question or pique a comment. And so that's kind of, I think, the reason that we've always done it, where the staff person comes up and gives a presentation, and then, people have to change.
Anna?
Thank you. But isn't that a good argument for having the PowerPoints in the pact? Because then the public would have seen not every single part of it, but they would have a working knowledge of what was going to be presented.
Sure, and they could get that from an agenda bill too. I mean, I think it's definitely a good idea to have. It kind of depends on the PowerPoint. What I would say is, if it's going to have enough information on it that it has clarity to the situation, or if it doesn't have enough information on it, that maybe it causes confusion and people thinking that there was information left out.
But that's also a good opportunity for people to ask questions in writing, if they can see it. Because I think for the most part, I agree that most of the PowerPoints should be in the agenda, the packet, for people to see that in advance.
Yeah.
Do you mean if it's a PowerPoint that's going to be presented at a council meeting under general business?
Yes.
There's been strong pushback against that by staff, and I want to respect that. The process of fine tuning a PowerPoint, I've been involved with for over many years, and there would always be changes that I would have wanted to make if I had to submit it that early. I just want us to remember that we all may want, the public may want something, but a presenter typically reserves the right to, bring their presentation and present it then. It's nice if it's in there.
It should usually, on most things, it'll have been up on the screen during the study session a week before. It might be tweaked for the presentation at council based on some of those comments that come in, because that can be helpful. That then whenever, I think people like that when they see that
that we're listening.
Responsive and we listen, and things change between study session and the general business because someone wrote in a comment that someone, we can do this. We need more clarity on this point, or something like that. So I'm sure we can work something out, whether it's maybe the PowerPoint as it's presented at the study session gets uploaded, and then, but staff's free to make updates.
Yeah.
It's not like an ordinance where, if you change a
Yeah.
word, it makes a difference.
Yeah.
I think that, everyone wants, people to have the ability to make thoughtful comments. Although this was actually another MRSC question that I noticed on there, is that there is not a requirement that any packet materials be made available ahead of a meeting, which I'm interested.
Not here.
Yeah, I know. I'm just letting you know that there's actually not a requirement for that. It's just the agenda that has to be posted. Not.
I think one thing, just being new to all of this, that I will go back, think about these three options, kind of look through the resources that have been given. But there is also something that it unfortunately is going to put a heavy burden on everybody who has experienced things before, because there will be something that, like, I'm going to go home and think about this. I'm going to do my research. I'm going to have my lived experience with this. However, it is mind blowing to find out the things, all the things you don't know. And it's because a lot of this is lived experience. And if you would have asked me, about public comments prior to the very first meeting that Rick and I were in, where it was
Boy,
like,
that
that
was
was the very
amazing.
first city council meeting. I didn't see that coming. So when I'm putting thought into this, there's lived experience that I haven't experienced yet. So that is one thing, if you guys, you know, when you're giving that education piece to us too, because, you know, we are new to this. However, I do want to respect the fact that things have been tried. There have been things, and you have experienced things that's like, trust me, that's great on paper. It may or may not work based on things. So that is something I'm very open to, that feedback.
That's what you get from reading that Seattle document. You get the impression that there's some experience in those words.
So my wondering is, would it be helpful? I don't know if you'd even want to see the council meetings where we had other public comment from when Jeff was in office. Would those links be helpful for you, the dates for that?
If there's large scale experiences that you guys have lived through that kind of are painting why you feel certain ways about things, I do, and it's not even that you need to do the homework to give me that so that I can experience it as you did, but it is that, like, I just wanted to say out loud so that, you know, at least for me, and I won't speak for myself, I'm very open to, I may say something and you're like, yes, on paper, again, lovely, but lived experience, things that have happened here, like, these are the things that, you know, may have come with that. So I just want to make sure that's open, and like, please give me that feedback that if I do come with something, I'm also coming with it very fresh.
Well, January 7th was a pretty good indication.
That was a good
Moderate.
indication.
All right, it was a moderate. We had a horrible couple of Zoom bombs. When we had youth in the crowd, they were reading from propaganda. I mean, it was bad.
Yeah.
So
So no, that's the only thing, like, that's that side of the pendulum, and that's like, wow. But there's also things that are just, you know, like we've experienced. If you would have asked me if we were doing everything in writing, you're like, oh, you know, I don't know how I feel about that. But then getting it, it's like, oh wow, that is a wealth of knowledge that like somebody has been given longer than
Counterintuitive.
whatever. Yeah, and so those are the things,
A surprise.
it's that lived
Yeah.
experience that I would have had a different opinion before, but now that I've experienced it, it's that. So that was my only thing, is just being very open to, if I come with these comments, letting everybody know here at the table that if
We'll
I
let
say
you know.
something and you're like, hey, I love it, you know, but however, this is what I'm.
I think probably everybody around this table feels comfortable.
Okay,
Mhm.
just, you know.
I think so.
There's been a lot of factors that have, you know, weighed on different people throughout the modification of this. I know that we had some violence against elected officials that came up in some of the discussions as, you know, being a factor that increased concern about the meetings where there was heated cross comments during the meeting, and, you know, that was a concern. There's we a few years ago adopted code that prohibits weapons, you know, at the, you know, and that was something that the legislature passed. And kind of the idea that we have that the need for that kind of thing is a concern to think about. So I'm just saying, there's been so many things over the years that have kind of led us to where we are right now. It's impossible to say, oh, it was this thing. Or, this particular meeting. It's been a lot of things. And it's not just the experiences within the chambers for Bremerton, it's hearing about other stories, it's seeing things on the news and what other people have experienced.
Yeah.
Kind of weighs in on everyone's.
And it's feedback from the community too. Because
Yes.
they're
Of
watching
course.
this, so we are going to get the emails that we get of like, hey, I don't know if you've thought of this or these things. Those are all things that throughout all of this, I will be doing my due diligence in this, my soul searching, my what I think is best, but very much open and welcoming those comments.
I appreciate the validation. I think as we're told we're supposed to be tough, we're supposed to be strong, we're supposed to put up with this, and sometimes I've said it too, you know. And then at the same time, the dichotomy is that there is very real violence that happens against elected officials. So, anyway, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay,
We'll
so
be ready for you.
To everybody.
From today.
Okay, 2 weeks from today, if everybody.
Send out the homework assignment.
Yeah.
Read your 50-page.
Yes, Rick.
I was just gonna say that a couple times, not to sound like a broken record, but I did you know, we're on YouTube. You can,
Yeah.
And so you can go out there and I would, you know, I'd move bar down the bottom to see where I want to be. And so if you were interested in, and they're all out there by date, if you wanted to see some of the previous examples, they're readily available. Now I want to say not many people watch it. Just so you know, our last meeting, the council meeting from 11, what's today's 11, from 4 February, had 28 views.
That's a lot.
But then BCAT, that's going live. Yeah.
Nico, what the numbers were for BCAT. I think live maybe people are watching it, but once it goes through its conduit, whatever the company is, it records. It's the same one that used to record our planning commission meetings. You can tell if there's a hot topic because you'll see 100 views. And you notice-
Are you talking about when somebody else is recording it?
No,
Okay.
that's official, the city's official recording.
Well, that's just city council. It's not study session. Keep that in mind, because those go away after 30 days. And those are the real meaty ones people should be able to.
All I'm saying is if you're trying to see what the behavior of some of the past meetings are.
It's not a bad tip to scroll through, and if you see a meeting that has a significant jump in views, there's probably something.
There might have been something.
Yeah.
So,
And some of our
Okay.
names come up.
Are we,
yeah,
everybody done
Yeah.
with this discussion? Thank you, Kylie.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Next up, audit committee briefing. Chair Christy Camarada, please.
Well, they make me look good here, with Christine. So we had on February 2nd, we had the audit meeting. In that one, we discussed how we would like to, the cadence of the meetings that we're going to have. And we are going to do those every other month. One large item that came out of the audit committee was the fact that it's February on February 2nd, because for half the meeting, I thought we were still in January. So that was a huge revelation to actually be on the agenda. That was amazing for me. It was a real aha moment. So we are.
It was
doing
only
them-
the second.
Well, and it was like, we kept saying every other month, and I'm like, okay, so odd number months, and finally they're like, it's February, it's an even month, and you're like, oh. So that was a big aha moment. We are also going to have a special meeting coming up for that, because part of what we were doing with the audit committee was kind of catching up on where we were at, going over a brief overview of what has been planned. And we had one agenda item that was nearing its completion, that we are going to be reviewing in its entirety on February 17th at noon. So we're going to have 2 meetings this month, and then the next one will be April 14th.
Yeah, sure.
No, it'll be April 14th because they're even months, because February is February. I've learned. Did you want to add anything?
No, that sounds great.
Okay, next up is public safety committee briefing. Chair Michael Goodnow.
All right. We obviously, I was reelected as chair, and Rick will be serving as vice chair. And the main thing we talked about is the fire department pursuing a levy lift. So you'll be hearing more about that. I don't think I need to necessarily go into all the details, but you know, there's historically we've gone after bonds, and so the nice thing about going after the levy lift is you don't have to go out for those bonds all the time, and it will. The other piece that ties into this is also moving equipment purchases into like the same system that we use to replace dump trucks and street sweepers and things like that, because that's what they would do, is they would do the bond.
Why aren't they in that system already?
I think that's the question that was asked, and this is part of the solution, is moving in this direction. So, because obviously if a bond fails, then they just can't buy the equipment. They have to start again. This way, you know, we can still levy lift.
And independently
Do
of
it again, probably.
I think didn't they try, no, I'm sorry, they tried to do this with
The
police
fire
department
Yeah,
before,
with the,
and so now it's just the fire department alone.
Yeah, I don't know if it was this.
Mm-mm.
It was another one that has since passed.
Yeah, the fire
also.
department got one to pass. They did it with the cops and that didn't, and then they
Right.
did it by themselves and that passed.
Oh,
But this is another fire department ask.
come before us, but we just had a lot of talk about sort of strategy like that. And, you know, I think Chief's really on top of when it's gonna, what ballot, he's trying to get it on the August ballot for this
So
year.
it's not a special election.
Yeah, so,
And we'll also be briefed on the impact to the taxpayer.
Yes,
Yes.
with actual money and a chart he's working on a floor.
yeah, good discussion about that.
So why isn't August a special election?
I don't think it is. I thought he said he was trying to get, this is a primary. He's trying to get it.
Oh, okay.
Associated with the primary.
Okay, that makes sense.
usually levies in August.
Yeah, we just got some other little updates, but there was no other real issues that I can think of. That's all I have.
Okay. Did anybody go to any regional or other committee board meetings? Well, I went to the Kitsap 911 retreat yesterday for half of it. And the biggest thing that came out of it is the top 4 goals. And I frankly only remember top 1, which was considering lowering how many people are on the board. It's 13 people now. And it's a lot of people. And there's good and bad things, you know. And we are the number 3 user of 911. So first it's the sheriff, then it's fire, the regional fire, and then it's city of Bremerton. And then the rest is like all the other cities and stuff, it's 13%. So we of course have 3 members right now, as does the county, and everybody else has 1. So and then the fire people I think have 2. So anyway, that was the big point that they were discussing when I left at 2:30. So anybody else at a board? Okay, how about
I'm still trying to figure out what I'm allowed to say about KCR and what I'm not. It's like they have a confidentiality thing. So as soon as I completely figure that out, I will report to you guys
okay?
and say that the snacks are not bad.
Well, that's good. Okay, general council business. Anna?
You guys all know I was absent from the December 10th meeting. And I listened, I watched the recording and I didn't see any decision get made about the traffic calming policy. Was there something that I
It's not a
missed?
council decision. It's an internal policy. This went through Public Works. We asked the same questions. This is more of an operational policy. It's a working policy. I think there's even plans for a pilot, traffic calming setup. And so I believe it was at the December Public Works meeting, might have been November, but I think it was-
January, I think.
No, it was just when we've been talking about this traffic calming policy for
For a
2
long
years
time,
in
I know.
Public Works. And we finally got it and, is it perfect? No. Are there changes that some in the community maybe we want to make? Yes, and that can happen. It's just, we needed to get something so that we can start working with it. And we were told in December that it was going to go that week to the mayor for signature. So I was very clear that this wasn't a council policy, that it was an internal policy that would be signed by the mayor. Didn't have, I think probably we were involved because we were so interested in it, and Public Works Committee was all over it for months. Yeah, it
So-
doesn't mean it's perfect.
I did have a question to the city attorney about it though, and asked, as we got the final draft, I asked her if this was a policy that the council could or should approve. And if we did that, it would have to go to a resolution and then any even minor change would have to go through that whole process again. And so Public Works, their intention was just to keep it an internal working policy that, when we have suggestions to change, they can consider them.
So, thank you.
That's what.
I obviously did not listen to the December Public Works Committee meeting. All I had was the December 10th council meeting recording. So I guess my concern on this, I have a number of them, but I'm only going to talk about one, which is in the old speed hump policy, 60% of neighbors or Public Works Committee could trigger an investigative study. But in the current one, it's if you live or own property right next to, like that's adjoining the area of concern, or city, which isn't really particularized. So the example that I was thinking of is I walked 3 blocks to Lulu Haddon Park, almost been hit twice in one of those crosswalks. I have no way to, I don't know any way for me to say, hey, there should be some traffic calming here. So that seemed to me something that we should consider revising.
Well, but again, and I think we could, I mean, I don't know if Chance or anybody here wants to speak to that particularly, but again, what I really want to make sure we do, this was just signed in December. And frankly, I mean, if we're going to fine tune this in city council every meeting, that's not something that is going to be very productive. I really think that Public Works has been working with the community. They've been getting things through the Bremerton One app. They've been getting emails. They've been getting tons of communication. A lot of people want traffic calming. That won't surprise anybody in the city of Bremerton. Yeah, we need some kind of way. I think we're just kind of getting out of the gate with this and figuring out how we're going to formally do it. So I can definitely bring that up, but it's revisiting a policy that the mayor has just signed a month after it was signed. And it just seems like it's too soon to be doing that kind of thing. And on it, you serve on Public Works. So, I mean, there's the voice too.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's going to work out well for me specifically now, but it's like my next door neighbor who's a
Well,
home
not
health care aide.
necessarily, because if it's not on the agenda,
Yeah.
I mean,
But I think in general, a citizen feels that there needs to be a crosswalk and they write it in and yeah, we can't drop it, but then if somebody else writes in, it starts to be, I wish we had all the resources and a magic wand just to fix everything, but a lot of what we do is complaint based. So, once there's some energy around it.
I would really encourage the residents around there. I know that crosswalk or where there should be a
Right.
crosswalk. But that's what Brem 1 is. I mean, they have to respond to it.
Yeah, you also don't want to create something where it's like a form that you think you're going to fill it out and crosswalk's going to be there by Friday. Like,
I just tell my constituents the squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Yeah.
So if you have a concern about a pothole and so do your neighbors, let's train each other how to use. I've done, and when I've done that, I've gone to a neighborhood and I've been like, hey, let's the 3 of us, so that they know that we're looking at this issue.
Yeah. So I'm all done with this. Meanwhile, Mike Riley was at my town hall and he did a killer job. Anybody wants to hear about it? And woohoo! Ariam, the woman from one of the 2 facilitators, attended.
Oh,
I know.
Oh, she's engaging.
It was very cool.
I really liked her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She asked like even more questions than I do.
Your
Yeah.
constituent.
Does anybody else have anything they want to bring up? Okay, 7:30.
Yeah.
Executive session.
Oh, that's right.
Are we coming?
Oh.
Are we coming back afterwards, or is it?
Yes.
We adjourn the meeting? adjourn to executive session.
So return at 7:45 from an executive session.
Do we return or do we adjourn?
No, we return and adjourn.
Okay,
Uh,
Got it. We're gonna go to Hiley's office right
Yeah,
now.
let's go